In the last video, I talked about how Star Trek might be just about to have a new, fresh start, and that the Kurtzman era might be about to end. But what should Skydance do when they finally take over at Paramount? And what should the future of Star Trek look like? Welcome to Tackable's podcast.
Our Tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.
First of all, I'm going to tell you that this conversation really is going to be led by several insider sources that I've spoken to. This is not just my opinion, it's the opinion of several people that work within the industry. And I've tried to sort of collate all of that information and try to get an idea of what people that work within the industry, around Paramount, around Secret Hideout, etc., believe the future of Star Trek should look like. First of all, I'm going to say that we're going to base this on the idea that Secret Hideout will not get a renewed deal. And in that case, we will only get this 2 seasons of Academy, and we will finish on the 5th season, as already been announced, of Strange New Worlds. Now, I'm being told that we are going to be having a couple of movies coming out in 2027, and possibly another one in 2028, and that Paramount and Skydance are very behind those plans, even though they're still very early on in the development period. So, what should the future of Star Trek be? I am going to start off by saying Star Trek is not as important to Paramount as it once was. It has declined over the last couple of years in popularity, even though Picard Season 3 was a high. There was a lot of momentum behind Star Trek at that point, and a lot of hope that it would push on to something else. The Section 31 movie was a disaster. But that was a hope, again, and a plan that we would see a straight-to-Paramount movie every 2 years. That plan has pretty much now been scrapped. There were plans for a Picard movie, potentially a TNG movie, a Lower Decks movie. As far as I'm aware, none of those projects are currently moving forwards because, as I've dropped in previous videos, Secret Hideout have been made aware that the chances are their contract will not be renewed. So, what is the future? The consensus from the people I've spoken to seems to be that Star Trek will go on a break. Just like Ross and Rachel in Friends, we will see a gap in production. That will probably be filled by a couple of movies that Paramount are currently in the process of producing. The thinking from insiders seems to be that maybe there needs to be actually a separation between the Kurtzman Trek and whatever Skydance then decide to do with Star Trek. That there has been a very divisive period amongst hardcore fans, us Trekkies, regarding Kurtzman. Whether you love or hate him, it doesn't really matter. The main thing is that the hardcore fans that Skydance are looking at to see how well the show is doing is massively divided. And they don't really want that toxicity to follow Star Trek into a new series. So, the sensible way of doing that is have a couple of movies that you hope would be reasonably popular and can build some excitement. Think about following Enterprise. They did the J.J. Abrams movies. Again, whether you love or hate them, they were talked about. They were in the cinemas. They had very popular actors in at the time. There was a buzz around those movies. That buzz allowed Paramount to then bring the TV series back. The idea would be that maybe that would be, again, what they would try to do. Bring some movies out, get them into the cinema, and create a buzz. That buzz could then follow on into whatever new project they're going to do. But would that be with a new production partner, or would Paramount try to do it themselves? Again, my understanding is that CBS would control the production, so it would be continued on as CBS Studios. But Skydance would want to make this in-house. They would not be hiring a new Secret Hideout. They will hire showrunners themselves. They will hire writers themselves. Skydance's opinion on this is that we've been making Star Trek, we've been making a million other things, we made Mission Impossible, blah, 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 blah. And they know how to do it. They believe they know how to do it better than Alex Kurtzman and others. So, The plan for them would be to bring it in-house. Now, I have been told multiple times that they would probably try to create an entity within Paramount that just looks after Star Trek. Warner Brothers were going to do exactly the same thing, and they called out Star Trek Studios, was what I was told at the time. That seems to be, again, what Skydance will probably do. Partly because they want to bring Gene Roddenberry and Roddenberry Entertainment into the fold as well. They can only really do that simply, and I mean here from an admin business point of view, if there is an entity, say Star Trek Studios, we'll just call it that, within Paramount that is able to operate in some ways, from a business and a tax point of view, independently from Paramount. I'm told by business insiders that would make it a little bit easier. It also makes it easier when you're then having different partners for things like the audio books and merch and stuff. Again, it's not that Paramount can't do that. It just makes it simpler on the books if it's a Star Trek Studios or something similar that's operating that, controlling that, managing all of that. So, we're not going to be in a situation where we get a company like Kurtzman involved again that has as much creative control as they've had over Star Trek over the last 7 or 8 years. Would they come back with a series relatively quickly? I'm being told probably not. We may get about a 5-year gap, but I'm being told that's kind of from now. So we're actually going to be getting Academy at the end of this year, then Strange New Worlds early next year, season 4, Academy season 2 towards the end of next year, and then probably season 5 of Strange New Worlds won't hit our screens till early 2027. So that basically means that, we've got a couple of years still of Star Trek hitting our television screens. It may be then a 3 or 4 year gap from that point until we then actually get anything new. Why? For one thing, Skydance have got an awful lot of work to do when it comes to Paramount. They've got an awful lot of studio space they want to sell. They've got loads of subsidiaries and smaller businesses they want to get rid of. They were going to be getting rid of Paramount Plus, but now I'm told they're going to be keeping it because it's turned profitable. They want to focus on shows that have been popular for them, things like Lionesses and anything Taylor Sheridan's touched. And they may move away from very expensive sci-fi shows, even though, don't get me wrong, things like Yellowstone were horrendously expensive to make. Partly because of Kevin Costner's salary, but they were expensive to make. So, they want to move more towards that area, stuff that's been really popular on Paramount Plus. Now, Star Trek's done well on Paramount Plus. It's done quite well at times, but not well enough, I'm told, to warrant the expense. It is an expensive show to make, and they would like it to be doing a little bit better. But more to the point, when it's gone badly wrong, it's gone really badly wrong. And that is a problem for Skydance. So a gap between Kurtzman era ending and a new series would really be twofold. Skydance have got a lot to do, and they don't want the toxicity to follow the new project. Would they be continuing in the tradition of prequels and sequels, etc., or would we try to return to the Prime Universe? I'm told that the plan would be to return to the Prime Universe and the Prime Timeline, that they would ignore elements of the Kurtzman era as canon and move forwards with a new series that would really more follow on from TNG, Voyager, Deep Space Nine and Picard. Picard, I'm told, at least season 3 will stay as canon. We'll see whether seasons 1 and 2 do. So, if you want to reset back to Enterprise Star Trek as the, last really bit of real Star Trek, then you may be getting what you want. It does seem that Skydance are looking at it going, there's too many timelines, there's too many universes, this is too bloody confusing, which I've actually said Paramount bosses were talking about nearly 2 years ago, I was being told. So, it does look like Skydance are going to listen to a lot of fans and bring it back to something that is more one timeline and actually the universe that we know, particularly as TNG fans. For me, and this is just my opinion here, but I actually think the biggest chunk of Star Trek fans today found Star Trek during TNG and Voyager and Deep Space Nine. We have a younger audience now that found Discovery, etc. But I think the bulk of Trekkies, the bulk of Star Trek fans, are ones that found those originally sort of Braga sort of Star Trek era. It seems to me that it would only make sense to sort of focus on those Trekkies, then produce something good, something that we can love. Because if us Trekkies love it, we will spread the word, and we will hopefully bring in new Star Trek disciples. I actually think Alex Kurtzman's business model of sort of saying, we'll create a Star Trek for everyone, and if you don't like one, just watch another, was a very poor plan. And the main reason why I think it was a poor plan was because if one show is not loved by Trekkies, they tell everyone. And then you get an aura around a show that's not necessarily good. In the last episode, I told you actually about all of the IMDb ratings and Rotten Tomato ratings, and none of them are terrible. But there is a general sort of feeling within the community that a lot of Kurtzman Trek has been terrible. That's partly because your worst episode tars everything else. And I think Skydance are very aware of that and want to change things. I think we'll see Star Trek in the future with a lower budget. I think it'll be far more character driven, more like what Strange New Worlds is, but without so much of the spinning enterprises. And I think it'll be something that is in the universe and timeline that TNG, Deep Space Nine and Voyager fans would recognise. But guys, get into the comments and tell me what you think. For one, does Kurtzman deserve to lose his deal? And if he does, what would you want to see done next? Do you want to see them sort of get a new production partner, but somebody that maybe understands Star Trek? Hey, maybe Terry Matalas starts his own production company and they give him the deal. That's basically what happened with Kurtzman, so it's not, totally beyond the realm of possibility. Or do they take it in-house? That would be my preference. And I think Skydance are more than capable. So get into the comments and tell me, though, which option you think would be best. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can become a member of the channel and get to see a lot of these videos up to 24 hours before everybody else. Go check that out. As always, please stay safe and I'll see you next time.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.